the? Is your gas gauge accurate on this?
I thought so.
Are you kidding me?
Are you serious?
It wants to start.
Part two.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it just like decided to said, I'm just done. You ever run this thing below a quarter tank?
Yeah.
Oh, there's plenty of gas. All right, guess what it's not?
Fuel pressure.
It's not the fuel pump. It's not fuel pressure. I mean, I guess I like that better because that means I'm not dropping a fuel tank. But I mean, what the hell? And it sounded like it ran out of fuel, you know?
Yeah.
Well, no reason to put fuel in the tank, right? Got fuel pressure. We were done, but we got to show people the pressures on the AC compressor, and I can't do that unless it runs. This is a different video now. It is now a no start. Just trying to see if did I bump the coil when I put that AC line in?
Sounded like it was
All right, Caleb, I need you to be my eyes for this spark test. 20,000 volt gap. We should have spark. That's in series, in line. No spark?
No spark.
What are the chances of that? So dumb.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. So we had nothing. There was nothing showing.
I didn't see anything.
I'm gonna narrow the gap. All right, I set that about to a 10,000 volt gap. I mean, without breaking out the scan tool and looking at, see if we have an RPM signal, that's what I'd want to do. That'd be my next step. I just don't really feel like going to get my scanner. You keep it low tech. I just want to work as easy as possible. You know what I mean? Let me connect this and then I'll get you a shot of where I am. I'm going to go to the ignition coil. We're going to go to both wires and compare them. Okay, this will be our power feed. It's orange or green with an orange tracer from memory. That's my ASD power. Test light's gonna go to battery ground. This is an incandescent test light, and we're just connecting it right there. I'll be able to see that too while I'm cranking it. You wanna get a shot where I'm connected?
Yeah.
Staying lit the whole time I cranked it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have power on our ASD circuit. Control is next. Just going on the next wire. This is my coil negative. This one should look different. It should light too, same way, but we should have a flicker to it. Should be a flicker to this one. There is?
Yeah.
It's flickering?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Then that coil's bad. So what you saw, because I can't see it, on the first one, steady light.
Yep.
On the second one,
Flicker.
you could clearly see a flicker.
Very clear.
Dude, that coil's
I can
bad.
crank it.
On this one, instead of going in series, I'm gonna go to ground. It's less stress on the coil. I always like to go in series because it stresses the coil as the cylinder pressures stress the coil more. So it's always better to do it that way. So this is now going directly to ground rather than to the distributor cap. Watch that for me. I got a 10,000 kV gap. That's not much. That should have no problem jumping that. No spark. That's a bad ignition coil. That coil failed right there. So that's just some common knowledge and a test light. Coil control. I have some videos on coil negative control. Got to plug the premium channel. You guys want to know what I just did that fast in knowing that my ignition coil is bad? Come to my website, ScannerDanner.com, sign up for my premium channel. I have some videos on coil negative control or on ignition systems in general, operation, how's it work, scope testing them, test light testing them. In fact, I even have 1 or 2 here on YouTube that I'll link for you guys too, where I'm testing ignition coils with a test light. And we can get a lot more high tech. It's just not necessary. That's enough information for me to say that is a bad ignition coil. I think I might have one for this. Headlight bulb. I felt it necessary to save your ABS wheel speed sensors. A sprinkler. Hey, it's a rotor. We're getting close. Damn. Thought we were gonna get lucky. Cannot believe that coil failed. I have no ignition coil. We gotta go buy one. I have to go buy an ignition coil to finish this AC video. Yeah, so Caleb and I gotta go on a parts run. So let's go do that. I'm confident in what we just did that this needs a coil. I'm gonna turn this vacuum pump back on. We're gonna let this pump continue to pull down like while we're gone. You know, typically, you know, for what we've done today, like a half an hour is good. You know, depending on the moisture, how long it was open, and so on. You know, the more you evac it, the better. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna leave this on. We'll let this go the whole time we're gone. Those valves are open, so we're still evacing the system. I'll leave that stuff go, and let's go, Caleb. So we're on our way to the parts store, and I was just thinking about this job, and like, man, these are the things that we encounter as technicians sometimes. You got a customer's car in a shop. If this is a customer's car, what do? You call up the customer and say, I'm sorry, your car died, and we need to charge you diagnostic time to figure out why, and then we have to repair it too when we're done. Like, this is completely unrelated to the AC work that we're doing. This has nothing to do with it. There is no scenario short of me like dumping water or something on the ignition coil, which I didn't. This has zero to do with anything that we've done. Yet the problem revealed itself to us right there, right in front of everyone. You know, these are the things that we run into in our field, and I you know, sometimes we as technicians, garage owners, we need to be less apologetic. Just call it as it is. There's no way that the garage owner or technician or whoever should have to eat this problem. This is a problem with the Jeep. You pay for diagnostic time, you pay for the repair, on top of the AC repair that you're already paying for. Sorry, that's the way it goes. You know what? Shit happens. That's why they say that. It's just crazy. Like, I've seen crazier things. This isn't like the most crazy thing I've ever seen. I've seen crazier stuff than that. And just the nature of the beast sometimes, man. As far as failure of that ignition coil, this coil is controlled by the engine computer. There is no external module. So one of the things you worry about with ignition coil failures would be the amount of dwell time, which is the on time of the coil. And, you know, can you have a module that is causing the coil to fail? Absolutely you can. We've seen that on Fords with their coil unplug systems, where the driver fails in the computer and it cooks the coil. This particular model Chrysler system, these modules do not go bad. They don't. And the pulsing of the test light tells me I have control, and this is just simply a faulty coil. The other thing that can make a coil fail is when you have old ignition components, open plug wires, for example. High resistance in the secondary can overwork a coil and burn it up. But it wasn't that long ago that when we introduced the Bosch scan tool with you guys, but we were doing some ignition testing, but we changed all the ignition components. Remember, Caleb? We did plugs, wires, cap, rotor. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was like, it wasn't all that long ago.
No.
So that kind of takes care of both aspects. One, the module causing coil failure. Nope, not on this model. And two is secondary ignition components. Those are all good. But those are things, imagine if this car did this, and now you got, you know, you pull a plug out and you see like 90 thousandths gap and it's supposed to be 35. Well, what else do you need? You need plugs. And you don't want to do plugs on that system without doing the wires. And you don't want to do the wires without doing the cap and rotor. So now you need plugs, wires, cap, rotor, coil. Then the diagnosis on top of the condenser leak that you have and the AC repair. It's awful. It can snowball on you bad. But this is where you just communicate with your customer, and you know, really what this needs is a coil. For this problem, it needs a coil. And you can let them know about the warnings of the 90 thousandths gap spark plugs and the old components. But right now, it needs an ignition coil. You can't keep it as inexpensive as possible for the customer while warning them of the need to maybe do those other components. But anyway, I'm Captain Longwind, so I'm gonna stop talking. This is some bull. So we're at Napa Auto Parts. This is owned by Cozell. So it's actually Cozell Auto Parts. It's a Napa company. They've been around since 1966. And we thought, well, heck, let's turn the camera on and go inside, because a lot of our international audience has never seen the inside of a auto parts store in the US. So just keep the camera rolling. We'll have the guys, like, I don't know, blur their faces if they don't want to be on camera. We can blur you out if you don't want to be on camera. Oh, nice. Well, you're about to be.
I'm like a celebrity.
Yeah, right? So we're doing this AC work on my son's Jeep, and the freaking car dies. Coil's bad. We were just troubleshooting it. So we're here to get an ignition coil for that same Jeep. Go figure, while I'm charging the AC system, it dies on me, coil failed. What are the chances of that? Like, if that's a customer's car, they'd never believe you. They would never believe you. Like, you did something to my car. No, we really didn't. 96 Jeep 4.0. Hoping you have one.
We do not have one.
Ah, damn.
Ever.
Yep. Hey, I gotta pick up some
Time is it? I can have it at 4:15.
Okay. I kind of need this now, so I think we'll still keep you in the shop. We gotta go somewhere else. I mean, if I can't get one, I'll come back to you guys as far as getting it, and it won't be rushed today. Do you know what I mean? We'll get it for tomorrow or something.
Yeah, that's fine. Just call me. I can get it in the morning, no problem. Or
Okay,
we
perfect.
have like a half an hour to get it for 4:15, so you got some time.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks, Bill.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it. Wow, that sucks. They can get me one literally in an hour from another store. They can have it here. He said I have a half an hour to let him know. But we're gonna run to my brother's shop, which is right down the road, because I have to get something for him for another car we're working on. But he may have one of these coils sitting around too. We might get lucky with my brother's shop and have a used one laying around.
No, I'm not kidding you. Oh, I heard that Billy was on. He's gonna be on your channel. I just called up the Cozell. I was like, hey, they were just filming getting a coil or something.
Yeah, except they didn't have one.
But they didn't have my relay either.
Oh.
You want me to ask Bob if he has one?
Bob who?
At Advance.
Oh, no, is that who you're talking to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got a coil sitting around for a 96 Jeep, single coil pack, just a coil.
Castle Shannon has one, and so does the Brownsville.
I'm not going. They can get me one in an hour up there, so I'll just call Bill back.
Cozell Auto Parts.
Hey, is this Bill?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Paul Danner. I was just up about that Jeep. Can you?
Yeah, the coil.
Yeah, can you go ahead and do that? You said you can get it by like 4:15. Is that still doable?
Yep, I can still do that.
All right, perfect. All right, bye. All right, perfect. We're using Napa. $43. Napa came through for us. All right, so that pump's been running for about 2 hours.
Way longer than we intended.
Way longer than we intended. So we'll do a 5-minute decay test. That's sitting right on about 29. And as I'm changing the coil, we will kind of keep our eye on that. Ouch. I still can't believe that this did this. Another note, if some of you guys were paying attention, knowing Chryslers and their ASD relays that power these they power on initial key on, and then they shut off, and then they don't power back up again until there's an RPM signal. So when you're cranking it over, computer sees a cam crank signal, sees RPM, and then turns the relay back on, powers the coil. The fact that we had power when I was cranking did suggest that we had a good crank signal. And that's exactly what we had, which is good crank signal. We had good fuel pressure, pump was running, and no spark. And no control, or we had good control on the coil, so. I just touched battery positive.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it.
This engine mount's in my way. Are you kidding me? Oh, this AC line's in my way. Damn it. Why would they put this here like this? Just to piss me off.
Dude.
Leave me alone. How's our gauge looking? It's still on 29?
Yep.
Been longer than 5 minutes too.
You've redeemed yourself.
Maybe.
You do not look like an idiot right now.
Thanks, Caleb. I quite often do. Like when I hit the positive cable twice just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, customer's car. How do you explain this one to him? Good freaking luck. Oh, Caleb asked me a question too while we were out. It was a good one. We didn't check the rest of the system for a leak. If you remember, we had such a gaping hole in the condenser and we could hear it. I was worried about using up all my nitrogen, and I wasn't worried about the rest of the system. That was a huge leak. And so you have that potential when you do air conditioning work. If you get a car in that has a huge leak, here's the rule. You never want to promise that customer that there aren't any other leaks in that system. If you got a big gaping hole somewhere, you have to fix that first. Now, granted, we probably could have caught this other leak on the back of the compressor because it was pretty significant too, but don't make promises. When it comes to AC work, you got a big hole in a system somewhere, just make sure your customer is aware, communicate with your customer, do the best that you can in identifying any other problems, especially if it's a high cost repair. By high cost repair, like a condenser is not cheap. I mean, it wasn't too bad for us and on this model, but on some of the newer cars, man, you could be in $1,000 on a condenser, you know, with labor and refrigerant and all that stuff. And man, only to find out that you have another big leak somewhere and you got to spend a whole lot more money. So, you know, air conditioning work, it has, you know, just like anything, we have variables, and these are things that we need to consider as technicians and selling jobs and keeping ourselves protected so we're not working for free. This is one, you know, with the coil failure on this, good luck. And we'll include this, we'll keep this in this video because it really was cool to see it live. You know, see this coil fail. All right, coil installed. Coil. Yeah. Installed. Let's see if it starts. Let me take this off of here first so I can add my gauges. Don't forget, check valve. Okay, before we charge it, let's just make sure that the engine starts and then we continue. Woohoo! Just a test light. Know your fundamentals. I didn't have a scan tool or nothing. This is just common knowledge and understanding coil negative control. All right. Now, what is my refrigerant charge level on this thing? Boy, is that nice when they put it right there. 2 pounds. All right, let me grab the cans. We're charging with cans. Be right back. How many do I need, Caleb?
Huh?
How many do I need? 2 pounds is 16 plus 16 is what? 32, so I need 3 cans. 12 ounces in a can.
That's 36.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, people, we're using these new style cans. They're self-sealing, so like you can actually charge with a partial can. Let me get my glasses on. You can charge with a partial can, take the cap off, and it'll still hold, which is nice. So we'll just have to guess on the final 4 ounces. I have an adapter, this adapter here, that allows me to adapt my gauge to it. And I couldn't find these exact parts for you guys, but I did find something similar, and I linked it on our Amazon page, so you guys have some setup similar to this that you'll be able to connect your gauge, your center yellow hose to. Now, we could make the argument that that little tiny gap right there does have a little bit of air in it. From here down, we don't because of the check valve. I'll show you how to purge this real quick because I haven't shown that before. These are closed, still sitting on 29. Perfectly happy with our final leak check. That's been like 20 minutes or so. Let's open that. So that's flowing now out of there. And just a real quick purge is all we need. That's it. All you need to do. That's that final little any air. If you didn't have a check valve in this hose, you'd want to do that. Okay, I'm good there. And let's open our gauge. We focus here. Does not matter how we add to it. We did put oil in the low side line, so for us, I want to blow it in the low first. And the reason I want to do that, I want to flush this out. You'll see liquid coming out of here.
I'm gonna sneeze. It's coming.
Caleb's gonna sneeze. We have to forgive him. But we're just blowing it in the low side line because that's the one that we put oil in, so we're flushing that out. All right, I'm gonna get some hot water. You know, my nice big bucket again. Give me 1 second. I want to grab my thermal imager real quick because I learned something from one of you guys just literally like 10 minutes ago when I read a comment on the RV. So I didn't know what the setting was. There's a setting on this for emissivity. And then if I can't read this, Caleb. What's this say? What's that say? Matte?
Yeah.
What's that one say?
Semi-matte,
Okay.
semi-glossy, and glossy.
I do have emissivity selections on this. The problem is I don't know what glossy, would that be water?
Sure.
Let's try it, the glossy one, and see if that makes a difference. Because remember we had like 120. Whoa, the heat from that, it's spinning in there. You can see, and it's 200 degrees. That's a huge difference from what we saw before. You see it like swirling in there? Mm-hmm. So that's with an emissivity of glossy. What does matte do? Let's see how much that changes. Oh yeah, it totally changes. And that's what the comment was. So that emissivity, if I'm saying that right, is a huge factor here as far as accuracy and what you're looking at. So yeah, I learned something from one of you, which is the emissivity, I hope I'm saying that word right, setting for the thermal imager. There's things I need to learn. We're gonna use this more as we go. But I'm charging just with the engine off. And once you have equal temperatures, it's not gonna flow anymore. So what I'm doing is heating up the can. And now that's flowing real nice. What happens is picture your AC system as a can of refrigerant. And so when the system was empty, I have a can here that is equal, the pressure in this can is gonna be dependent on outside air temperature. So it's about 80 degrees. So we have about 80 PSI in this can. Empty system, you know, into a vacuum. So most of that went into the system, no problem. But then once that system reached 80 PSI, which is the same as the can, it's no longer gonna flow. So you have two options. One is to lower the pressure in the system, which is your low side. You would add to your low side with the engine running. Two is to increase the pressure of the can. So either lower the pressure of the system or increase the pressure of the can. This is the safest way to do this, especially because the low side fitting is right next to the compressor, just like on my RV. And if we add this with it running, especially with one of those little short, janky hoses they give you with those little cheap charging cans, and you're adding as a liquid right here to a compressor, you have the potential to damage that compressor by putting liquid into it and slugging it and destroying it. So it's much safer for us to add this with increasing the temperature pressure of the can. I can go ahead and leave my low side gauge open. I can leave that alone, rely on my check valve here. Knowing my check valve's here and not here, it's important. I don't take it off here first. I need to take it off here. Let me close the can and we take it off here. Okay, that's trapping that in that line. And now we take it off of here. Empty can, that's one. Okay, two, I do have that little tiny bit of air right there. You know, should we get rid of that? Is that important? I'll leave that up to you guys. You know, question to the audience. That much air right there. Should I purge it? I'm going to. I didn't on my RV. Didn't even think about it on the RV. Oh, it's too late. I had that valve open. As soon as I, yeah, it was too late. I blew that in there, so that little tiny bit of air right there, we're just not gonna worry about it. You see it's flowing.
Are you like expanding it with more water and then
Yeah.
adding it to work more pressure?
Yeah, so just like we do in the hot tub, like with the lighter, that's what I'm doing with that. Is I'm making that refrigerant boil off. So you're hearing Bo in the background. Bo just walked out here. Want to get a shot of Bo? Bo, everyone loved your camera work in our Nissan video and your commentary. They think you're really funny. So anyway, Bo was asking a question about what we're doing. The answer is yes. This can right here, it's pressurized just like a butane lighter, and you raise the temperature on this, you raise the pressure. And so that's allowing me to blow it into the system.
You're basically boiling it off so there's more
Yep,
pressure.
boiling it off so there's more pressure, exactly. And then we're blowing it in there.
Alright, so we just need like 3/4.
Dude, I like bent that. 3/4, yeah. We're gonna be like 4 ounces over. I really don't think it's gonna matter that much. I'll do my best to leave a little bit in this can. And this time I did close this off, so we'll purge this one again. That's it. I mean, that was...
Just looking for that little mist.
Yeah, in fact, I probably didn't even need that, but the mist ensures that, yeah, you just blew any air that was in that part out of that line. So that's what you would do without a check valve, or if your center hose was exposed to atmosphere, that's what you do. Opening this back up, we'll let this flow. All right, so I'm gonna, that feels, that's a tough call. I'm gonna,
Better to overcharge it? Or
no, I think I'd rather be a little bit under than over, but I'll let that go. We'll close this off. Okay, if you guys remember what we said on the RV video, again, I'm referencing that. You guys can find that video in the description. I put oil in this compressor into that, so I just wanna, I didn't put it directly to the compressor. I put it in the low side. Some could have gotten in there. I'm just spinning the front face of this compressor just to make sure that, you know, anything that was trapped in there, we can blow it out. We're good to go. These valves are closed. There is warnings with AC systems, guys. And one of them in particular is you never, ever, ever want to charge to the high side, ever, with the car running. That valve's gotta be closed, always. All right, I'm starting it up. I'm gonna turn the air on. That's just because I got water and coolant, if you remember, on that belt. Yeah, we'll keep going on this. I'm adding right now as a vapor, so I'm gonna keep the can up this way. I open this up. Adding as a vapor in through the yellow hose, down the blue hose, and in. It's being pulled into the compressor. So when you have the can standing straight up and down, you're adding as a vapor, no chance of slugging that compressor. I'll tell you what, with these pressures and what I'm seeing and how much is left in this can, I'm just putting the rest in. Because I'm like 25 on that, 200 on that, I'm fine with those numbers. There's barely any refrigerant left in that can, we'll just go the rest of the way. We'll be technically about 4 ounces overcharged according to the sticker here anyway. I'm holding it upside down now because it's just about empty. So, you know, vapor, liquid, just going, you can actually see it in the sight glass over my shoulder, just a little bit. Just gotta be careful, we don't wanna put liquid into this compressor, that's all. You got enough hose here, about 6 feet of hose before it gets there. It looks like about 20 on the low. It's a little bit low. What did I say? It's 80 degrees out today. I might be wrong on that. It might be in the 70s.
Like 75.
The dew point's really high right now. So, I mean, that's a little bit lower than what I'd like to see. I'm not sure if my gauge got tweaked at all. Right now that's showing 24. Get a shot over here again. Let's watch it. Yeah, it's hovering around 22 roughly, 20, 22, 250 on the high. Yeah, I mean, I don't like how low that low side is, man. It's almost like that thermal expansion valve is not really letting enough in. That risks freezing the evap. It's sitting around 20. Keep your eye on that gauge a little bit more, Caleb. I'm good with where we are. There's nothing I'm going to do about it. We're gonna let it go. Let's go inside and see what your inside temperatures look like. It's like 42 with that setting. We gotta make sure that my setting is correct. I think it's probably just more matte. Yeah, it's about the same, really. Like 42 degrees. 40 degrees of discharge air, that's definitely what you want. So we're about 24, 25, I like that better, 225. All right, last step before you're done. With the AC still running, let's get all this high side pressure out of our gauge. This is empty. It's relying on the check valve that's on the end of that. What I wanna do, step one, close the high side Schrader. All right, that valve is now closed. Any refrigerant is trapped in this high side line. Step two, open this. I just put all that pressure, look at all that liquid sitting in there, right? You can see it, it's, right? See that liquid?
Yeah.
See how much liquid's in there? That's all in this center yellow hose now, being held back, okay? Not escaping. Next step, open your low side. We're gonna pull all of this in. We're gonna pull all of that liquid. Look how much liquid's there. Pulling that into the low side of the system. Notice the high side gauge is dropping. Right now we're at 25 and 25. Next step, down here, open or close this. So we're trapping that in there. So we're just trapping 25 and 25, we're done. So instead of venting all of that refrigerant like most people do, which you shouldn't, you gotta recover your gauges. By law, you're supposed to recover the gauges, but the idea is to have as little as possible left in your gauges, and I just pulled in like an extra probably ounce of refrigerant at least that was trapped in that high side gauge. And then you just very, very little left before you recover it. So that's important. Then one final leak piece would be these two Schrader valves that I did not check. I meant to, and I forgot. I want to make sure these guys are not leaking. I should have checked those earlier when I had nitrogen in the system and I forgot to. Is that one leaking a little bit?
Little bubbles, yeah.
Oh. No! I'm just gonna try tightening it first. As soon as I find my Schrader valve tool. Yeah, so I walked away looking for my Schrader valve tool to try to tighten that one up. It's not leaking. Any bubbles we had there, they're not there now. So I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Let me blow those out. Done and done. Now we want to make sure that our coolant level is good. Let me eyeball these connections on the hoses. Transmission cooler line. That's good. Good. And coolant level. Yeah, let's top that off a little bit. All right, people. Hope you guys learned something. Thank you for joining us. Hope you guys liked the video. Look forward to your comments, suggestions underneath. And again, don't forget to look in the description for other videos we've done. Guys, thanks for joining us. Caleb, thanks for being with me on this. Yep. Caleb doesn't mind watching me work on his Jeep, getting paid to do it. Doesn't get any better than that. Nope. We'll see you guys soon. Hear that bird? That's a mourning dove. The one that went doo, 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 doo. That's a mourning dove. I think that was a cardinal. Birds aren't real.